Doing good. Doing good. I feel like we just left.
Oh, Tom. Yeah, it does feel like we just left.
I know.
Oh, how do you approach this now for the rest of the week, as far as what you need to get done to be ready to go 100% on Sunday?
Well, we're here to play a football game, and I know there's a couple other outstanding obligations, but for me, it's about preparing mentally, physically, to be the best I could be. So I've already watched a lot of film today. I got a lot more this afternoon. Going to get Alex and I get all our treatments in, see if I could be really fresh, ready to go tomorrow. We got to have a great week of practice. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is kind of the physical prep, and the season's coming to an end. So we'd all like this to be our best game of the year.
And what does it mean to you when, on Saturday, when you get a chance to be with the family on the field? We've seen some great pictures of you and your mom and your family from years past.
Yeah.
What does that day mean to you, kind of taking that last mental break before ramping it up?
I think it's a culmination of a lot of things. I think that moment and to celebrate with your family and your support system at the Super Bowl, on the field the day before the game, before the chaos of the game and the stands get packed. I think it's just really cool to have a moment with everybody and take some really special pictures, and all we got is our memories, and try to make some special memories that we'll always have. So.
Tom, I apologize. I made you ask this before. Tell me everything you remember about your first NFL competition.
My first NFL completion? What was it, 6 yards? To Rutledge. We were playing in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day, and I was the third quarterback that game for some reason. I was fourth most of the year, and we were getting beat pretty bad, so coach put me in, and then I got one to Rod, and almost threw an interception, returned for a touchdown, but we got our butt kicked pretty bad that day, and it was a learning experience. So.
Remember what happened
Right before the play? What happened? Oh, yeah. Was there a penalty? Yeah, there was a penalty. I threw it to Redmond, gained some yards, and then had a penalty. So that was a long time ago.
Tom,
Yeah.
remember your first Patriot teammate who said to you, man, you're good. And it gave you like that little thing like, man, I can do this.
I remember my second year going into training camp, so it's 2001, and I had made a lot of progress, I think, with my physical ability, and I remember Lawyer and Ty Law came up to me and said, man, like, you really worked hard, you're doing a good job, man, keep it up. And it was really cool because obviously I wasn't playing at the time, but for the older players on the team who were really captains and guys I really looked up to, that gave me some confidence. And it's nice when the older players recognize the younger players in that way, because you can always use a little confidence as a younger player. I mean, you don't know much, you have very little experience. So just to have that was a really cool thing.
Glad you mentioned Lawyer because he seemed to be the guy banging the Brady drum from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah.
Lawyer's been a great friend. I mean, he's from the West Coast, and we always had a lot in common. We lived in the same area, and I always loved his enthusiasm and how he played the game. He's still a friend, and I competed against him a few times when he went to Buffalo, and his daughters are great athletes, probably better athletes than Lawyer at this point. And one of them's a softball player. She played against my niece this last summer, my niece is going to go to UCLA to play, and his daughter's a stud athlete too. So, we still have a lot in common.
Matt Bizzani was drafted by the Red Sox as a catcher. He played catcher at your high school before you did. He said two things about you. One, you're a better baseball player, lefty hitting catcher than you were a football player at that age. And then he also said your sister Maureen was a better athlete by far. Of course, she's the mother of your niece you're speaking of.
Yeah, she was the best athlete in our family, and great competitor. She was an All-American softball player. So much toughness. I always remember when I was a kid traveling around and watching them, going to all their games and their tournaments on the weekend, and she'd pitch like 6 or 7 games in a day, and she'd go 7-0 with 2 no-hitters, and I mean, it was unbelievable and she'd be exhausted, but, she was the player that made it happen. And then she went on to college at Fresno State, played for a great coach there, Margie Wright. And I used to go up and visit her when she was pitching for Fresno State and watch Trent Dilfer play. They had a great football team, and just some great memories that I had. No, I still I can't believe this, because there's no way to describe, for me what my career's been, and I feel like I've just been in the moment so much, and every year just trying to get a little bit better, and to have the opportunity to play in this game. I think I just have more appreciation, because the older you get, the fewer chances you're going to have. And when I was a young player, everything happened so quick. I didn't realize how much you struggle when you don't make it. Because, I went to college and we won a lot in college, and went to 2 bowl games and we won. And then we got to the Patriots and I started playing and we were winning. So in some ways, I don't think you take it for granted, but you don't appreciate how challenging it is. And then we went a long time before winning again. And then when we beat Seattle, it was incredible. 10 years between championships and losing 2 Super Bowls in between. And then, what's happened the last 4 years has been, so much icing on the cake. And I've loved it. It's been different teams every year. We fought through different adversities every year. And we played great teams in the Super Bowl. Eagles were, a great opponent. Atlanta was a great opponent. So was Seattle. And the Rams are, as good as any team that we faced all year. So it's going to be a great game. We're going to work hard to get everything out of the way, put all the distractions aside, focus on what we need to do to try to get us to play our best football, because that's what it's going to take. There's not going to be an easy play in this game.
All the plays that Rob Gronkowski has made, what's the one that stands out to you from over the years?
Wow.
Like a one-handed against Denver?
Yeah, that was a great catch. He had a couple catches. He's had so many big catches for us. I would say he just shows up at the biggest moments, 2014, he catches the touchdown on KJ Wright. Then we beat him on a crossing route under pressure, but only Gronk makes that play with his length and speed. And then I threw him another kind of, call it a deep stop route on KJ Wright again. So I've thrown a lot to him over the years. I think he's been so dependable, consistent, and it's great to see him enjoy. Last night, I was standing right next to him, and he was having a good time, which tells me a lot of good things. It means he's feeling good, and he's excited, and I think we should all be happy about that.
Do you remember the first time you met him, and the impression he made, the size of his hands, whatever? And do you remember the first time you realized he was Gronk being Gronk? He was that kind of character.
I think, when we drafted him, there was a big, like a mosh pit on stage, and I think everybody was excited to see that. I remember Wes being like, dude, we got this guy. Like, this is the kind of attitude we need, and Gronk has cut it loose, and I think everyone appreciates him. He's one of the most, for as big and physical as he is, he's a gentle, kind man, and he's an incredible football player.
He
So.
understands the game more than people believe, like, will lead to. He has that personality, Gronk, but
Yeah.
you talk X's and O's with him. He's a student of the game.
Yeah, he's a jokester to a degree, but he's also got a lot of pride in what he does, and he takes it very seriously. We ask him to do a lot of things, and I think it's impressive to be 270 pounds, to play basically every play, to win every matchup in the run game, against 300-pound defensive ends, 240-pound defensive ends. We ask him to pass block, then we ask him to run routes and win against linebackers, win against safeties, sometimes win against corners. He's a physical freak, and for him to excel the way that he has, I think he's, obviously him and Tony Gonzalez, to me, are the 2 greatest tight ends ever to play the game.
He's probably been hit harder than any player to play the game, too, because he's so hard to bring down. The knees are up high.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that, or how do you look at it when there's talk, and he talked about it after the Super Bowl last year, of possibly having to retire?
He and I have not talked about that at all, and I don't think he's focused on it. I don't think any of us are focused on those types of things. So he's a young man, and I said last night, whatever he ever wants to do in life, he's going to be great at because he has an infectious personality. He's he brings a lot of charisma, and he's just a great person.
That being said, I've heard a lot of NFL players say, when you think you're done, you can't play one more game, play one more year. I know you're not going anywhere. But
Yeah.
how do you make sure Gronk gets that message?
I mean, again, those things are up to him, and I haven't weighed in on that, and nor will I. I mean, these are all decisions every player has to make at the end of every season, because this is not it's a contact sport, and it's very physical, and you just gotta be prepared for that mentally and physically. And Gronk's had just an incredible career, and I think everyone hopes he keeps doing it, but all these things are up to him, and the great part is he gets to decide. It's his choice.
Last couple of years, you had a lot on your plate outside of football. 2 years ago, the involved. Last year, the cut on your thumb. With all those things off the plate, does it make it easier to command your mindset and your focus on football?
You're right. I think those things do in one way or another have some effect. They could be minimized to a degree, but certainly my mom, that weighs on everybody just because we all care so much about her. Last year I knew my thumb was going to be okay, but still wasn't, it was a nuisance. And this year it's been great, not having to deal with any injuries, really able to practice full go all last week. We'll be able to do it all this week, and I think that just helps with the preparation. So it's just a lot of preparation from here on out. There's no letting off. This is everything we got left. We know there's only 4 or 5 days left in the season, 5 days left in the season, and we got to make the most of them.
Tom, you've been through a number of these. Is today when you guys start really getting on the regular schedule, kind of regular schedule and preparations? How do we begin that?
I think today's our last day for real physical rest before Saturday. So we're going to practice every day and try to get, again, as much rest as we can to get the right treatment. We practice pretty hard, so I think it's going to be we're going to try to grind it out, see if we can fine-tune some details. But, today's got to be about a little bit of rest and still get ahead on more film study. I love watching as much as I can. It helps me anticipate, helps me play faster, helps me gain confidence. So the more that I could do, the better. Well, this is a team sport. There's, you can't accomplish anything in football without every single player, coach, support staff of the team. Everyone's got a role to do. My role is to play quarterback, and that's where my energy is focused. So that's probably the only thing I could do well for this team is play quarterback. I couldn't do any other positions, so I tried to do the best I can. I don't care how it ends. As long as we finish with more points than them, I think I'll be happy. So, these games have their ups and downs, and, we have a lot of momentum. We've been ahead a lot. We've been behind a lot. I think you just got to keep fighting to the end. This is a team that challenges you on every single play. So they have an explosive offense. They've gotten ahead in a lot of these games. They have an explosive defense. They've scored, 5 touchdowns on returns for touchdowns, either on special teams or in defense. They've got an explosive D-line, strip sacking the quarterback. I mean, Aaron Donald's, the best defensive player in the league. They have the best D-line in the league. They have, Aqib and Marcus, and you just can't lose your concentration for one play because these guys will just turn it into points. So we got to be very conscious of taking good care of the football, securing it when you have it, and they're great in the turnover margin. They've turned the ball over a lot the last couple of years. That's going to be a big challenge. I'm sure it'll be a big factor in the game.
Speaking of close Super Bowls, Falcons has had a couple of years to age. What stands out in your mind most when you think back on that game?
That was just, that was a good memory. But this week's not about thinking about that particular game. This game's going to be as challenging as any game we've ever played. This is a great football team.
Your relationship with Neil Elitraj, how did it kind of morph from surgeon, patient to kind of what it is right now?
Well, I knew Neil, long before he was before he did surgery on my knee. I knew him in 2002, and just developed a relationship with him. And then when I injured my knee, to go out to California and do the surgery with Neil was, I love Neil. He's a personal friend, and just very grateful for, his kind of support through what I went through, and he's been a great friend ever since. So my goal is never have surgery again. Neil knows that, but he's a great man. I know does a great job for the Rams.
Why do your personalities click?
Why do they click? I don't know. I think that's a good question. We just always have. I think it's just a real natural chemistry we've had. He's a great friend, and we spent a lot of time together over the years. We golfed a lot together. We have a lot of mutual friends, some really great guys, and I just love spending time with Neil.
Tom, you just mentioned the family, and this year, millions of your fans will watch the Super Bowl on the New Year's Eve in China. And do you have any message to your Chinese fans?
I loved my experience in China, and I'm going to try to go back this off season. We did a pretty cool show for a lot of our Chinese fans this year, and I think the game's becoming more global, and my experience in China was incredible. To bring my oldest son, we had just the most unique experience, and something we'll both remember. We got great pictures, videos. We did so many cool things, and it was just an amazing trip.
Do you want to say Happy New Year to our Chinese fans? Happy New Year.
Yeah, of course. How do I say it in Chinese?
新年快乐.
新年快乐.
Yeah, thank you. Do you want to share some football match in the holiday, your greatest memory of the holiday football?
My greatest memory of which football?
Holiday football.
Holiday football?
Yeah, like New Year's ball, New Year's Six ball, or the Thanksgiving match.
I'm not sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does this Rams defense remind you of the Broncos defense that you had 3 years ago?
I think it's different. I think this is a very unique defense, different than what, Wade has. I think he does a great job putting his players in a position to succeed. So, I think that's the mark of a great coach. And, Wade has enough defense to really incorporate his best players. And, it's a very different defense. I've just focused my time on the Rams and everything that they've, done this year. And they got a great defense.
The pressure up front is what I was meaning.
Yeah.
They have similar front four pressure up front. How does that play into your scheme?
Yeah, similar but different. I think, Von Miller obviously was an outside linebacker playing for Denver. Donald, who's been dominating pass rush this year, is really an interior pass rusher. So it's just a different scheme. There's not many similarities. Like I said, I've been focusing on the Rams and what they do and trying to learn as much as I can in a short period of time. What's up? Former Patriot. It's been a long time since that game. They had a great team then. They have a great team now. Obviously they moved from St. Louis to L.A. But they got a great team, well coached, just like they were back then. They got a great offense, just like back then. They've got great defensive players, just like back then. So, in some ways, our team's a little bit different. I think we have a different level of maturity, but I'm hoping that we can play our best game. We needed it against that team. We'll need it against this team. This is the biggest challenge we've had all year.
Over the years, you made the Super Bowl. Is there a point during the week where you say, okay, we're ready, we're here, I'm set, I'm ready to go? Does it happen Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, I think Saturday night is probably the time where you really feel like, you got it all, the hay's in the barn, so to speak. So there's no more preparation you're going to do really beyond Saturday night. Try to get some rest Saturday night, a little rest for the game because it's a long game. I mean, there's a lot of timeouts, there's a lot of stoppages, there's a lot of energy that burns, so you got to try to conserve as much as you can.
Do you remember sitting outside with Bill Belichick's office in 2002? Bledsoe was inside, and he was making the decision whether he was going to start or you were going to start because he had the ankle injury.
Yep.
Do you remember him telling you?
Yeah, I think I don't remember it too well, but I do remember that. Now that you say that, yeah, now that you say that, I remember that. That must have been on Tuesday, and I was feeling good enough, and happy to go out there and play in Super Bowl 36. That was a great experience in my life. Well, I think what this team's done is, we found a role for ourselves, and there's a lot of different players that are really playing a role, and it's not, the same guys every down, and at different years we've had kind of the same 5 skill players out there. This year it's been a lot of different guys kind of coming in and contributing what they're good at. And, if you look at the way all the backs played last week, if you look at, the tight end position, Dwayne's role, Gronk's role, the linemen, quarterbacks, all the receivers play. So it's just, we really utilize the entire group of players, and I think that's been a great mark for this team. Everyone contributes. Everyone knows that they're going to have their opportunity to help us win. And I think that, brings kind of a great team spirit about what we have. Yeah. Yeah, I loved that experience last year, and that was one of the great trips we've had for our team. We played against Denver, stayed in Colorado Springs, and then flew down to Mexico City. And, the hospitality there was great. That was the nicest hotel we stayed in all year when we were there. We had the best food. The stadium was incredible. We had great support. And then to top it off, we played a great game. And we won, and that was just a great experience that we had. Greatest Super Bowl catch? Probably Julian's to me a couple years ago when he caught it a centimeter from the ground. That was pretty spectacular.
Tom, what goes on inside you at the end of games in 2-minute situations, and why do you like it so much?
I feel like at that point the game's kind of declared. So you've got, 58 minutes of understanding of kind of how the rush is, how the coverages are playing, where your matchups are, and that's when the kind of the game's on the line. So you got to be at your best. Our team has always embraced that. We practice it every week, multiple times, and I think those opportunities are, if you're not behind, how could you ever have a comeback? And I've always looked at it as a great challenge. Like last week to be behind like we were, I felt like, where would you rather be? This is what you dream of. And to have that chance to go down there and score like we did, that makes it that much extra special when you win.
Do you relish that chance this year if there's not a blowout?
Yeah, I'm not expecting. I think both teams are going to be in it. We're going to fight to the end, and usually whoever has the ball last, you're a little bit worried about in this game. So they got a great offense. It's just a tough game to get away from anyone because it's such a long game. It's hard to maintain momentum for 3.5, 4 hours.
You don't feel pressure in those situations?
I feel like I'm there to do my job. I mean, it's not like you're going to the death chamber, if you lose the game. So I think you got to keep it in perspective, and you're trying to do it you want to win the game, and you got to go out there and execute at the end if you want to win.
How about your break in Super Bowl 36? What were you feeling? That was your first 2-minute Super Bowl drive.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that?
Well, we needed a field goal, so it wasn't, we just needed to make one big play, and then we made it, hitting Troy on that in cut behind the linebackers. That was a big play in that game. And it's just, whatever you got to do to get the job done to help the team win. So
You felt no nerves that day in that situation?
at that point, I don't. I feel, I'm obviously nervous before the game. You're anxious of how it's going to go because you don't know the outcome. These games are unpredictable, and nothing ever is very linear in a Super Bowl. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of momentum changes.
But you were just 24 years old at that point. That was your very first Super Bowl too.
Yeah, but I played in a big college. 25 starts at Michigan in the Big Ten. I mean, we played at the road in Ohio State. We played on the road at Penn State. Went to Michigan State. We had 110,000 fans, in the big house. Played in a couple bowl games. Played in the Orange Bowl. I mean, I had played in other big games, so that wasn't like I was, playing for Kent State like Julian was. I had a chance to kind of understand what those big games are about.
On the flip side, last one, how agonizing was it when Eli Manning went down and you were on the sidelines? He did what you did in those 2 minute situations.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. I think there's a lot of great players in the league. Eli's one of them, and he's done it against us a couple times and multiple times, more than 2. We played him in the regular season a few times where he did it, and he's just he's a great player. So yeah, I mean you'd rather be out there doing it yourself, but you got to give the other guys credit. They make the plays. They're extremely talented at what they do, and tip your hat to them, and you try to go on and fight again.
How rewarding is that feeling of successfully operating a 2-minute drive at the end of the Super Bowl?
I mean, these are memories you have for the rest of your life. So these are so many ways dreams coming true, and I've been very lucky to be in them, and say it's taken a lot of support, a lot of family and friends over the years that have supported me to this point, and I want to go out and make them proud. I want to play my best. Sorry, say it again. In Atlanta? I know, I've been there before. That's a good spot. I've been eating pretty healthy this week, so.
If you win, is that a cheat night?
Cheat night? I don't know. It'll be 11:30 at night, so I don't know if that's the night. You got to make it long. I got to start like 6 p.m. if I want to make it one of those nights.
When's the last time you had a slice of pizza?
It's been a while.
Tom, put me inside your head when you're going into a big game like this and your brother's going through recovery, and how do you find this solace in a moment like this, all of that going through your head?
Well, I was just happy, everyone was here at that point, and my mom's doing really well, so yeah. So I know every family goes through different things, and we've had a lot of support from my parents, and everyone was there to support her, and then hopefully it stays that way. So. What's a type A personality, just so I want to look that up and then. Yep. I'd say I'm those 2 things. Okay. Does that describe me? In some ways. Not all the time. I mean, I think I've, find a balance between that when I'm competing and when I'm not. So it's not like that 24/7 every single day. It's, I pick my moments, and I'm not trying to win anything today. Just trying to, not trying to win the press conference, just trying to, get ready to go. This is, Sunday's going to be a great game. Hi, nice to see you again. How are you? I remember. That was amazing. Sorry, what's that? Wonderful. I appreciate it. Thank you. No, why not? Thank you. We had such a great trip. These are great memories. See, me wrestling and sumo? That was a big dude. How's that? No, they were sweatpants. How cool is that? Yeah, I'm not very superstitious, so I try not to, you know, think about which shirt I'm gonna wear. You know, I just kind of go with the flow. So, you know, I know what I need to prioritize, and nothing really gets in the way of that. Yeah, I mean that's important. You know, you can't. Again, I'm not here to waste my energy doing a bunch of things that aren't helping us be productive toward winning. So, I'm not going out at night. You know, I'm getting ready to play a football game. That's what. More so than anything, you remember the final score, and you know, you just got to be as composed as possible over the course of a long week. I learned that it's hard to get to. You know, that year again, we had to overcome a lot of things that year too, and it was a long time ago. But I think the characteristics of our team then and our team now, you know, you try to keep them the same. Yeah, I mean, everyone's doing their job. You know, you focus on what you can control. You know, you do the best you can for your team. And, you know, you just can't let anything get in the way of what the team's goals are.
Sometimes games are won on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. You just feel it, in practice. Can you tell usually during Super Bowl week in practice when we're ready, I think we're going to play really well, or if you don't practice well, how long?
I mean, obviously, you'd love to practice well. I think that gives everyone confidence that we're really on it. And I think, you know, you don't want to go out there and have a mediocre week of practice because I don't think you gain a lot of confidence in what you're doing if you're not executing things at a high level. So, you know, you got to be making the passes, you got to be running the routes, making the right reads, you know, great execution, fundamentals, attention to detail. I mean, all those things are going to show up in the game. And, you know, we've got to be able to take what we've learned all last week, you know, all the film we studied and put it into action.
Does it ever seem surreal to be back in these moments, especially at the age of 40 plus?
41. Let's put a, yeah, it does. I mean, no one ever imagines these things. So, I mean, I think the goal is, when I was a kid, I hoped I was going to be a professional athlete. And, you know, I've been a professional athlete for a long time. So I couldn't have asked for anything better or different. You know, obviously I wouldn't change anything. And, you know, I just love being here. I love representing our team. I love trying to go out there and win a world championship.
Tom, the moment that Mo Lewis hit you, what do you recall exactly?
That was a tough situation. I mean, Drew was seriously hurt. I mean, that was a major injury, and thankfully Drew came back and he was able to, you know, regain everything. You know, but I mean, I would say, you know, you have an injury like that, you don't know if you're ever going to play again. But, you know, Drew went back in the game after that hit. I mean, he was so tough. You know, I learned a lot from him about toughness, about mental toughness, mental and physical toughness. He was a great role model for me to look up to when I first got in the NFL. And, you know, I remember visiting him in the hospital that night. And, you know, he was going through a lot at that time. And I was trying to go out there and play and do the best I could do for the team.
Who told you that you were going in, Phil or Charlie?
Well, at that point, I was the backup. So, I mean, I was just assumed it was going to be me.
You finished that game.
Yeah, I finished the game, but Drew got hurt. He went back in the next series. And then, you know, he came back, you know, after a series of playing. We didn't move the ball, and then they said, Drew's done. You know, you're going in. And
Who said that?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was on ESPN this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was telling some fun stories about your competitiveness.
Yeah.
One story he told was a remote control maybe making its way through a wall, and then he put a picture over it for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Until you left the house, and then he told
I don't think my dad remembers it as well as I do. Yeah. No, I definitely, broke some remote controls when I was a kid. First, I was a very poor sport. I was a very poor sport, and that was pretty. I just remember losing and taking the remote and slamming it down over and over. And if my kids did that today, I don't know what the hell I would do, but I wouldn't be happy. And then, I think I remember punching a hole in a wall in our house. Yeah, it was for a different reason, but yeah, it wasn't. That wasn't the video game remote.
You said he got you on the golf course too. You said
Yeah, I remember.
car washes.
Yeah, I know. He used to beat me because we bet car washes, and I would have to wash his car if I lost to him, and I lost to him all the time. So I probably still owe him some car washes. But one day we were going up to see the Giants play with my Little League baseball team, and we went up and played 9 holes before the game started. And about the 6th hole, I hit a bad shot, and I took my club, and I just started slamming it into the ground. And my dad took me off the course, brought me to the car. He said, if you ever do that ever again, you're never coming up here, and you're never playing. And, man, I was crying. I was so sad, and went to the Giants game. And I think that probably hurt my dad to do that, as a parent, And,
Did you ever do it again?
after the game, he said, all right, we'll go back and we're going to play again, And I learned a great lesson. So that's a very personal story. I'm not going to. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think some people are born with great height. Some people are born with great size, great speed, and some people are born with other things that I would say are more intangible. And I think competitiveness and the ability to compete has been a great attribute for me. And it started when I was young, and it was really a part of my whole family. I mean, everyone was the same way, so it was definitely in our family's DNA to compete and to want to just, play to win. And I think I was always encouraged to do that. My parents never, said like, look, we should really think about, what you want to do, your goals. Or my parents always just encouraged it. And let's go for it. And let's try to go to these camps with these other kids that are, really talented. And I think that was just a great thing that my parents were able to instill in me to, you shoot for the stars. You try to do the best you could do. And, I just grew up that way, and I still feel that way now. I think people would think, you're 41, what are you doing? And I still am shooting for the stars, and I'm doing something I love to do, so.
Last question. Tom, for LeBron to be in 9 championships, for you and LeBron to be in 9 championships, 9 Super Bowls for you, 9 finals for him, is there anything that correlates between the two of you? Is there anything you admire about it?
We're similar athletes, LeBron and I, both great size and speed, jumping ability, shooting. Not quite. No, he's a much better athlete than me. I might. I know my wife's going. She asked me the other day if I was going to go. So word spreads fast. I said, word spreads fast. I wrote it in pencil on the calendar, so I don't know. It's got to be permanent ink. They were very good. It was intense. It was intense. It wasn't anger. No, I love Germans. See you guys. Thank you.